Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. This is going to be a strange day today. I've just checked my notes and I've got some orchids that haven't seen any water for 9 or 10 days. Some will have dried out beyond where they should be. I got some catching up to do. Yeah, sort of been away a little bit. Some things have been tweaked, you know, dailies, mounts and things like that I've kept up with in the main, but there's a lot of pots. There's a lot of pots. There's a lot of pots. Pots. And some of those haven't seen any water for some time. Now this lot up here, they'll be fine. That's a shelf of Cattleyas. They'll be fine. If they've dried out completely for a day or two, they'll live. They'll be fine. But I got a lot of stuff. My Miltoniopsis down there, I can see from here without getting down there, they're dry. I've got things like Paphiopedilums, I can see they're dry. And up in under here, I mean, again, the Phalaenopsis, they're all over the blinking place, quite honestly. They're dry. Oh dear. I got some catching up to do. I got some serious catching up to do. So it's going to be a long day today to get back to normal. Update my notes, make sure everything that's been watered has its notes updated, and just basically get back on track. It's that time of year. This is a funny time of year. When the sun comes round, it's still getting up 26, 27 degrees in here. Smashing. But for less of the day. You have to appreciate the days are getting shorter. So yes, it's lovely bright sunshine. Yes, the temperature's lovely. But there's 4 hours less of it already than there was back in the summer. You know, when you're looking at sort of 15 hours plus daytime and you knock 4 hours off, you're down below 12 hours already. Yeah, and the sun doesn't come round till about 10:30, so I'm getting an awful lot less sunshine now already. Nighttime temperatures, they're getting cool. I mean, that's what we've got in here at the moment. That's not warm. You know, that's the ambient temperature in here at the moment. What's the time? It says on there. Duh. 10:30 in the morning. Now, we've just had one hell of a thundery, stormy, chuck it down. The garden's flooded in places. We've just had about half an inch of rain, I think, in the last hour. The temperature's low. I mean, humidity's fine. That's without any help. Basically, when I finish watering in here, that humidity will be 85 to 90%. And I haven't really wetted anything apart from the pots, and yet they will start giving off humidity. So I've got no problems with humidity this time of year. And if we do get a lovely bright sunny day and the temperature gets up, the foggers will kick in. So it's catered for, it's fine. What I'm not so happy with is the lower daytime temperatures and the shorter days. It's telling the plants to slow down. And when they slow down, they don't drink as much water. And when they don't drink as much water, I mustn't give them so much water. So this is a time of change. Endearingly known as autumn, in some cases endearingly known as a flipping nuisance, because it just means winter's coming. So be it, that's life, that's how we have to get on with things. But as I said, I mean, there's not a huge amount in flower here, and some of what's in flower I've just bought, so that's cheating. Don't count that. Still nice anyway. This species Vanda, these two spikes over here are still doing well. Just starting to fade on that one now, so maybe 1-2 weeks left. This spike's nearly gone. There's only a couple left on there. There were 3 spikes on that plant. Not the best looking plant, but I'm just hoping that kiki down here will just pull up and fan out here and cover up the tatty bit. That's my theory, what I have. As I say, green all over the place. I got some yellow leaves need sorting out when I get up the back there. But I already know those are my 2 Brassadas. That's, what's it called? Orange Delight and Mivida. And they're both growing really well despite that appearance. Those leaves are the fading leaves on the oldest pseudobulbs. It's that time of year, they do that. Some of the dendrobiums are going to start dropping some of their leaves soon as well. if they're not doing it already. There's a few faded paler colours ones up in there. I'll deal with them when I get there. A few leaves gone up the back there, some nice bright yellow showing, but I'll get round to them as I go through the plants. Now, chances are I'm not going to get through all these today because I need to look at the plants. I don't just need to chuck water on them. You know, if I had a proper greenhouse, this could be a hose day, but I can't do that in here. Get the electrics wet for a start, and then we probably wouldn't see too much more of me. Yeah, so a strange day. That Vanda is looking gorgeous up there. I wish I could have taken that to the show. I've got to work on that. It's in a hanging basket with roots all over the place. So I can't put it down. It has to hang. And I haven't got a plant hanger to be able to show plants on. There was a guy does sort of wrought iron work at the New Forest show that said he would make some, and I've sent him diagrams and he hasn't even bothered answering the email. So even if he gets round to answering the email now, he's not going to get my custom. It should not take a month to respond to a potential customer. That's just not good business. So I'll have to find somebody else to try and make those. I might even have a go at doing it my flipping self. It's only a matter of bending a bar into a basic platform, raising a section up and coming across the top with somewhere to hang your plants. I'll probably do that myself. Anyway, just a few thoughts. Winter is coming. Changes that I will be doing very soon. I've got a huge tree outside that the sun drops down behind in about a week or two's time. So for the probably 2 to 3 hours of the day, the sun will be lost. It can still be bright, but it's lost that direct sun onto the shade netting. As soon as that sun drops behind there, one of the layers on the outside on this long wall comes off. And that makes it very, very bright in here. It's strange because that, you know, that halves the amount of shade netting basically. It really brightens it up in here. That works well. I can't take the double shade netting off of that length yet because there's nothing blocking the sun. So when the sun comes round, if we get any, it's full sun on that glass. So it needs both those layers of shade netting for a while yet. I usually take one layer off about the end of October. I bubble wrapped the roof a while ago and I decided because of the upheaval that it actually causes that it's staying there. I mean, obviously most of the heat that you lose, heat rises, you lose your heat like you do out of your head if you don't wear a hat. You lose your heat out of the roof more than anywhere else. I taped all round the drafty bits to stop cool drafts in the winter and also losing my heat out through those cracks, so it's reasonably well sealed. I will have to block the vents up. Eventually I have to make a decision that the extractor and the inlet vents are done for the year. I have to make that decision because I need to seal those because obviously you can see the daylight showing through. I'm going to be losing heat badly out of vents like that. So they have to be sealed up, they have to be bubble wrapped. And I'm thinking this year of actually taking the shade netting off completely on the sides and replacing it outside with bubble wrap, which does form enough shielding from winter sun so that the plants aren't getting direct sun through glass, which even in the winter on some leaves will burn them. Okay, so I'm thinking of bubble wrapping the outside. That will replace the shade netting and save a bit on the heating bill. We had a mild winter last year, very mild in fact. Heater got hardly used at all. But you have to bear in mind I cheat a bit. Because this is a conservatory and that's my lounge, I like to stay reasonably warm. And when I go to bed, I open this door. And all the residual heat from the downstairs of my home drifts out into here and stops me needing a heater at night. Except on the really, really cold nights at about 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, the heater does kick in. But otherwise, this place doesn't drop down below 15 in the winter because of the heat from the house. It works well. And last year I had to use heaters, during the daytime because, as we all know, orchids like a differential. They like a difference between the daytime and the nighttime temperature, and it is quite important for them. That's why homes are good for some orchids but not for others, and some will fail to bloom without that temperature differential. They just won't have it. Things like Phalaenopsis, you can keep them at 21, 22, 23 degrees all their life and they'll probably do okay. Although the closer you get to the species, they start liking that differential again, and some may not flower as well, or take a lot longer to push a new flower spike up. But some plants they need it, and they need 5, 6, 7 degrees centigrade difference between day and night. I've discovered over the years that the actual temperatures are not as important as that differential. You mustn't get your plants too cold. They can go cooler than they're supposed to be for short periods and most will survive. Some sensitive ones won't have it. You get cold burn, and that's just as bad as sunburn. It damages the cells in the leaves, so you've got to go careful what you're dealing with. Know your orchids, know your orchid type, and know its recommended range of temperatures. This is what I call an intermediate room. Now, intermediate can go down to sort of 11, 12 degrees C at night time. It can, but it doesn't in this one, because I've got Cattleyas in here, I've got Phalaenopsis in here, I've got some Aerangis, and some of these plants are up the higher end of the intermediate range. Therefore, their low temperature is not as low as true intermediate. So I stick at 15, a very occasional 14, 14 and a half, but 15's my low point. So in the winter time, when there's no sun or anything, and the daytime temperatures outside are 10 degrees if I'm lucky, trying to get this with a differential starting at a low end of 15 up to say 19, 20 actually requires some heat. So I use a heater in the daytime more than I do at the night time. But I get away with the nighttime heat, dirt cheap. Just open the door. And then what happens is the heating comes on in the morning for the humans and starts to heat everything up, at which point I can sort of pull the door across and allow the daytime heater to do its thing. So as I say, big day today, thoughts of winter now. I know it's still only autumn, but the thoughts of winter are there. The thoughts of the changes to the light levels and the length of the days. I've got 2 layers of shade netting on the outside here. It's almost too much already. That layer's got to come off within the next week or two to get that extra light in. I've just got to get more light in as the sort of autumn progresses. And keep my eye on the day and night temperatures. I mean, this gadget down here has got a minimum and maximum, which I can reset any time, so I can keep my eye on what's happening at night and during the day. It's not just your night temperatures you've got to watch, you've got to think about your daytime stuff as well. You know, I mean, some of these plants in here don't actually like going down below 18 degrees. Things like Phalaenopsis, they like above 18. Well, you know, 18 in the winter, they're going to slow down, they're going to suffer a bit because it's going to go down to 15. They're going to have to lump it. Alternatives, I have them. I could bring them all in the house. But then they're going to get less light. Now, okay, they are semi-shade loving plants, some more so than others. They will tolerate lower light levels, but they don't do as well. In the winter, the light level in here is perfect for the Phalaenopsis. They love it, especially as they've got other plants helping to shade them. But the temperature's a bit lower than they like. The day lengths are really short. They're going to slow down, if not stop. But the beauty of the Phalaenopsis is that drop in temperature normally kick-starts the spikes. I say normally because it doesn't seem to work with all of them, but it does with a lot of them. Okay? And this place is going to empty out after Christmas because most of my dendrobiums in here, and I've got a lot, are coming out. And they're going for a little holiday up in my bedroom. And they're going to sit right in the window, as close to the glass as I can get them. The radiator's going off. I'm going to get that temperature right down day and night and as much light as I possibly can. And they're going to get, well, they'll have had their feed stopped month or so's time, I'll be stopping the feed on those. But during that cold snap that they're going to get, cold winter rest thing, they're going to get very little water. They will get just about enough to keep them going. I don't believe in this stopping watering. They're still a plant. They're not a true dormant plant. No orchids that I know of that I grow are dormant, truly dormant. They may rest, but they're not dormant. There is a difference. You know, things like bulbs that you grow in your garden. You can lift them in the autumn, dry them off, and they are truly dormant. They will do nothing until the spring. They don't need any water. They don't need anything. You can even shut them in the dark. Well, you can't do that with orchids. Not ones that I grow anyway. So they're going to get their winter rest this year. And then we're going to cross our fingers and hope for mass displays on those that have already flowered quite well. And I'm also looking for first-time flowering on those that haven't flowered at all. So let's look forward to spring. It's not all doom and gloom. We have to have the 4 seasons. I live in the UK. We have to live with them, deal with them, do the best we can. And this time of year, most people are looking forward to those beautiful yellows and golds and reds of autumn on the trees outside. I just don't get too many of those colours in here because I'll be losing too many leaves if that happens. But yeah, autumn is a beautiful time of year, apart from the fact you know what's coming next. Yeah, winter. And then as winter progresses, you look forward to Christmas and all those sorts of things that happen in the winter. We might even get some lovely snow. I love the snow. I love going out in it. I love it. I don't want it in here, but, you know, I love the snow. But then, you know, you get into February, and as February comes to the end, the spring bulbs come out. We start seeing snowdrops, crocuses, and we know what's coming next. Bright new shiny green leaves on everything outside, and our orchids kick-starting into growth and blooms. So on that note, let's think about spring. Well, I think about watering nearly 200 flipping plants in here. Oh well, see you again soon. Just a few thoughts. Thanks for dropping by. An afterthought. I always have one of those, but usually I forget it. This is my bug killer thing, yeah? It's a soapy wash, and I say it works well, but it doesn't. But I've found out why. Talk to people. Especially at orchid societies, especially if you come across people. The trader that sold me those 2 odontoglossums, which I love, I chat to him. He's a nice guy. I do deals with him as well, so it's worth chatting to him. But he uses this stuff. He uses it all the time on his plants. And I've said, well, it works a lot of the time, but sometimes it doesn't. And he just looked at me curiously and he said, "You are mixing it up fresh every day, aren't you?" And I went quiet for a bit because basically it goes in that sprayer, and as you can see it's half full. That's 2 days old. Apparently it's useless. You just as well chuck it down the sink. So it's important to talk to people who use stuff and find out stuff like that. This works when it's fresh, which is why in this place it works sometimes, but not others. However, I'm reverting to an old way. Yeah, that's the old 70% rubbing alcohol and the spot treatment. So look out, you bugs. Trouble is with that, you can only do the ones you can see. This stuff does the whole plant, obviously. You just soak the whole plant, top side, bottom side, round the base of the plant, any tops of roots that are showing, you do the flipping lot and hope you get the lot. But it does work, but apparently it only works if it's fresh. Now, what the hell happens to it between one day and the next, I don't know. Quite honestly, I don't need to know. I mean, that makes 50 litres. Well, given that the bugs are going to slow up a bit this time of year and go down to next to nothing through the winter, even though I will have to be vigilant, as they say, I can afford that. I can afford to mix it fresh every day. I just won't mix as much, because in a day I don't get through that much. Okay, so just a little pointer. That also applies to some fertilisers. Now, currently the way I'm watering, I do actually have fresh water every day with new fertiliser in, except in there, because that's just too much water to set up every day. So I make that last several days. Now I'm hoping that my organic fertiliser is still okay after a couple of days. I mean, there's only about 6 plants get watered in there. It's not like it's getting used over and over and over and over again. You know, if you multiply that by 3 days, that's around 20 plants have been through there. It's not a lot. But worth bearing in mind, keep your eye on what you're supposed to do with your stuff. This has got an incredibly long shelf life in there, but not once it's mixed. And I found that out at the Orchid show, chatting to a vendor. Good stuff. Okay, yet again, see you again. Thanks for dropping by.